My Happy Marriage Volume 1 Review. Miyu Saimori is from two very prestigious bloodlines with supernatural powers, but you didn't know for just looking at her. Treated worse than a slave by her stepmother and half-sister, and completely ignored by her father, Miyu's life is one of mystery. She was not born with any magical ability, and her mother, long dead, was a rival to her stepmother for many years. One day, Miyu is surprised to find out that not only is her father marrying her half-sister to Miyu's beloved childhood friend, but also has decided to ship Miyu off to be a bridal candidate. The Kyoka Kodo, the Kodo clan, are extremely powerful, but Kyoka is known to be cold and cruel, with no bridal candidate surviving more than 3 days with him. Miyu has no aspirations for finding happiness as she moves into his home, but can help bloom in the most unexpected circumstances. If you're a long-time reader of anime Yuki news, and this title long looks familiar, it's because the lovely Demelza reviewed the light novel's version by Yen Press. Now with the anime adaptation due to debut soon, it makes sense to license the manga version as well, this time by Square Enix Manga. The manga adaptation came second in terms of releases, but the art of the light novel and manga are very similar, with releases dates close to each other as well. I have not read them in light novel, so I would not be comparing the two, but how does the manga hold up in its own? The back cover calls the story a Cinderella-inspired slow-burn historical romance, which is an accurate description. The Taisho era setting is visually very striking, from the stunning character designs to the period details in the background. The art by Reito Kosaka captures you from the cover itself and keeps you engaged with the story till the last page. But it should be noted that so far, you don't need to know how much about the historical significance of the time period to understand this story. It's mostly to set the scene. Then there's a Cinderella side of the romance, but it's mostly for the backstory of the main character. She's from a home where her beloved mother died and then loses everything she owns, now only becoming a punching bag for her new step family. Very Cinderella-esque, but also appreciate that author Akumi Akitogi really examines how sometimes like the will affect one's psyche. Miyu is emotionally and mentally broken, never expecting any kind of word of action her way, but treating it as an object, and therefore she thinks herself only worthy of the abuse she gets. She doesn't see the new arrangement as a way out, but simply what she deserves. An apparently cruel man who will hurt her just like her family does. However, even as Kyoka Kudo shows that he's more than the rumor says, Miyu mentally battles with herself, telling herself that somehow she's in the wrong. She can never be hoped to be worthy of his kindness, and that this is only temporary. When someone goes through the kind of abuse for a significant amount of time, then it's not just going to be resolved overnight. It's going to take a lot of time, kindness, and hopefully therapy. This is where the love interest comes in as is typical in this kind of story. Kodo doesn't make the best first impression, but as you learn about him over the course of the book, you learn why he got his reputation in the first place. He's a man with a very high power position, and therefore, he's cautious of anyone who throws a bright his way, because of course people want to get into the good graces of one of the most powerful men in the world. But there's more to him than just wealth and power. He notices Mio's demeanor very quickly and realizes that his hostile behavior isn't the way to go, and she's not like the other brides that have some before. The pair have chemistry despite being forced together. It works as Kodo treats her with kindness and respect. Also, he's not infantilizing her, which is important as sometimes the power of the money can run the risk of that happening. She, in turn, isn't just going to fully recover from her trauma and one of kindness. She starts to feel her own self-worth through his actions, and begins to find her own independence away from her own family. There is one aspect of the story that has not been explored yet, despite being part of the synopsis at the back cover and at the top of this review, and that's a supernatural side. Yes, this book is set in a world where psychic powers are real, and several families specialize in certain skills such as controlling the elements and telekinesis. The reason the Kodo clan is so powerful is because they combine military might with the power to deal with Cortex queries. And what does this mean? Good question. It's something that is not really answered in the first volume. I'm going to be showing you some kind of supernatural threat like demons and such, but the word is not commonly used in fantasy stories, so you would think you would have explained it better, but sadly not. So far, it's not too much of an issue, as the first volume is setting up how a couple met and the backstories. However, there's an important reveal in the last chapter of the book that explains the importance of the different powerful families, and so far, it's hard to truly grasp why certain parties are interested in Mio's bloodline. or why Kudo is so preferred if you don't get a bigger picture of how these powers work and help hold back the Cortex queries. The tester for the next volume is a heart-pounding romance panel that gets you excited, but it would be nice if you could get more world building and the feature as well. If you're a fan of the light novel, you'll be pleased to hear that at the end of the book, we also get the special short story from the author herself. It's a nice incentive if you didn't want to wait for the next manga, and instead check out the light novel. Andre, it was a bit of a brain freeze when I went from right to left to read the manga, to suddenly having to read left to right for the last few pages. The first manga volume of My Happy Marriage is an intriguing start to a new romance story, with a unique setting and lots of potential for the characters to grow within themselves and together as a real couple, with beautiful art to boot. Recommended, especially if you're tired of high school-based romances and want something different. Read a pre-review on Square Enix website. 9 out of 10.